So once again, the expression is the dog days of summer. So again, the dog days of summer are those days in the summertime when it is really hot and people feel too lazy and too tired to do anything. Now you might say, Mr. John, why do we call it the dog days? You might think, well, dogs get hot, they get tired, right? They want to sleep all day. But actually, there's a reason for this expression. So I don't know if you know a lot about the stars. You know, when you look up at night and you see the stars in the sky. But actually, there's a reason for this expression. And that expression, it comes from the ancient Greeks and Romans. So many, thousands of years ago. So they called it the dog days because it refers to the constellation. Everyone say that word, constellation. So constellation is talking about the group of stars that we see in the sky. So this constellation is called Canis Major. And Canis is basically the word for dog, right? The old word for dog. So often we might call it Sirius, which is the dog star, right? There's Sirius, the dog star right there, right in the dog's nose. And so in late summer, right, in July, for example, in Italy and Greece, they would see this constellation in the sky, and then they would know that this is summertime. It's hot. And the problem is they thought it would bring bad luck and bad things. So when they saw these stars in the sky, that's what they said. They said, oh no, it's the dog days of summer. So it means something bad is going to happen. Well, we don't use it that way in the United States. When we say the dog days of summer, we just mean it's really hot. And I don't feel like I want to do anything, all right? So maybe you feel that way in the summertime. Okay, now for our new students and our returning students, but especially our new students, what I like to do is usually ask a question using or talking about the new expression. So everybody, this is a chance now. If you want to use the chat box, you can. We can also use microphones, but we have to be careful. We have a lot of people here in the class. So here's my first chat question for our class this session. And the chat question is, what do you like to do to keep cool during the dog days of summer when it's really hot outside? What do you do to keep cool? So for example, do you like to eat ice cream? Do you like to drink, something with ice? Americans, we love ice, don't we? Do you like to go to the pool? What's something you like to do to keep cool? Now again, you can use the chat. Quickly though, before we finish with this topic, with the dog days of summer, I wanted to share something very, very quickly with you. What's interesting here is oftentimes when we get a new expression or we use an expression in language, sometimes things change a little bit. So again, maybe you have a similar expression in your language, but here's something very interesting. So I thought this would be a good chance for us to do one more quick little chat discussion. And part of what's interesting about this expression is that those Greeks and Romans, those ancient Greeks and Romans, when they created this expression, well, what's interesting is they see that dog star, that Canis Major, they see it in the summertime. So they actually see it in July and August. Well, the reason is because those particular people live in the Eastern Hemisphere. Everyone, you can say that there at your phone or computer. Say it together with me. Eastern Hemisphere. Now, hemisphere is talking about how we divide the Earth into these different sort of half. Hemi, for example, hemi means half. So again, if you notice, we have 4 hemispheres. So we have the hemispheres of Western Hemisphere, so this side of the globe. So everyone say that, Western Hemisphere.
Western Hemisphere.
Okay, good. And then over the right side, we have Eastern Hemisphere.
Eastern Hemisphere.
Okay. And then, of course, we also divide the world into halves in the middle. So, for example, here at the equator, so some of you can see here the equator. So we can highlight that here. Let's see if I can, I'm using these tools for the first time, so let's see. It's hard to know if I'm using the tools correctly. Now that's a line. Let's try this again. Sorry guys, this is my first time using some of these tools. There we go. So the equator is what divides the world in half, like this. And then of course, notice north to south, we have what's called the prime meridian. The prime meridian, and it divides the world sort of north to south. So again, when we think about the equator helps us separate the northern hemisphere. So everyone, you say that, northern hemisphere. And then we also have the southern hemisphere. Now, for example, we look at the United States. So here's the thing to think about. What hemispheres are we in the United States located in? Well, here's North America. So again, we think of North America as United States, there's Canada, right? There's Mexico and Central America, and a little bit of South America. So we could say that the United States is in the northern hemisphere, and it's also in the western hemisphere. Okay? Now, everybody look at the map here. Look at the map on the screen. Now, here's what I'd like to do. What I'd like to do is maybe one more time using the chat box. Tell me about where your country is located. Now, we'll make this easier. So for Western, we'll use the letter W. And for Eastern, we'll use the letter E. Okay? Let's see if I can change that there. Can't seem to get E there. I have to keep drawing. Okay, well, yeah, so what I wanted to mention is this expression, the dog days of summer. The funny thing is, the expression really doesn't make sense for us here in the United States, because here's the problem. The problem is this expression was created for people living in this hemisphere. So in this hemisphere here, people living in this area, well, when they look at the sky, they see different stars than we do in the summertime. So what's funny is here in America, so if you look at my presentation, it says here in America, we live in the Western Hemisphere. So we don't see the dog star, we don't see Canis Major until the winter time. But you notice we don't call it the dog days of winter. We call it the dog days of summer. So sometimes when we get expressions, new expressions in language, sometimes we change them, sometimes we don't. Here in this case, we kind of borrowed this expression through time. But what's funny is it doesn't really make any sense here in the United States, because here we don't see the dog star in the summertime. We see the dog star in the winter time. So, but we don't call it the dog days of winter. We call it the dog days of summer. So I thought that was kind of interesting, since I know some of you come from this area here, this part of the world. You probably would see the dog star. Okay, well, let's go ahead and see if I can clear the screen there. Okay, there we go. Okay. All right, so let's continue. So just to finish our discussion, by the way, this is what the sky looks like when we see the dog star. Now, I don't know if any of you ever studied stars or the constellations. Maybe you studied them in school. Maybe you use different constellations from here, from the Greeks and Romans. But for example, here, I thought I would click on this just to show you. This is what the sky would look like in the winter time in the United States. So, for example, Orion here, this particular constellation we see during the winter time here in the United States. And then, of course, Orion right next to him down here, just to the left and at the bottom, that's the dog star. So the dog kind of follows Orion in the sky, kind of follows him around. So for example, my dog is right behind me in class. He kind of follows me like the dog star, right? By the way, Taurus is the bull, and that's my constellation. So I was born in May, so I'm the Taurus there. But anyway, so I don't know if you know a lot about the sky and the stars, but this is what the sky would look like in the wintertime here in the United States. Okay. All right. Well, there we go. So let's continue. And we're going to continue on in our presentation. Now, guys, our first class here today, we're probably not going to go for the whole hour, but I do want to take a few minutes because we do have some new students in the class, but I think many of you have already used Burlington English before. But I'd like to spend the last just few minutes here talking about this program, okay? So Burlington English is the program we use to help you practice more English in class and then outside of class. So that's a big part of this online experience, is to help students learn more English. So each week I will give you some activities to do in Burlington English. Now, some of you are taking maybe the beginning classes, high beginning class, for example. They will use Burlington English too, but probably some different activities from the activities we will do. Now, everyone, I really want to emphasize that this program, we need to use it. It's important to use it. Here in our program, if you notice, we don't pay any money. You don't pay any money directly to use the program. So in some ways, you know, this program, the Burlington English program, is free for you to use. But it's the government that's helping us pay for it. So we want to make sure that we do use it, because here's the problem. If we don't use it enough, we may lose it. So again, I really want to emphasize, when I give an activity, please, please, please do it. Because in this way, this will help us keep the Burlington English program for free so that you can use it. Now, some of the students in this class, I know some of you, wow, you use Burlington English a lot. I could see how many hours. We've got some people in here they're champions. You know, they're champions of Burlington English. They use it a lot. And I know some of you have sent me emails to say, well, you know, sometimes the computer doesn't understand my voice. So we'll talk a little bit about that next week, about how to use it a little bit more. But for example, if you notice, everyone, you notice I'm using a headset. You see, I have a microphone here. In my experience, Burlington English works the best if maybe you have a microphone like this, or if you're using it on your phone, that you really speak into the microphone on the phone, because sometimes the computer may not understand you. In fact, sometimes it doesn't understand me. That's because sometimes I don't have my microphone in the right place, or maybe the phone's not too close. But the idea here is, yes, we will be going through and kind of giving you some help to learn how to use it. Now, again, you can use Burlington English on your phone, on your iPad, Chromebook, or computer. So it's wonderful. We can use it on just about any device. Now, each one of you has a Burlington English account. Now, I know some of you already have that information when you came to register. Remember when you came to take the test? We gave you the Burlington English information, but I'm going to send it to you again in your email immediately when this class is finished. Now, some of you have gotten it already from other classes, so it's the same information. But in my email, there's going to be an activity that I want you to do. So you're going to do it right after class. Okay? So everybody, everyone raise your right hand, right? Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I promise, Mr. John, that I will do the activity. Okay? So I don't see any cameras. That's okay. But you can promise me, Mr. John, I'm going to do this activity. It's not too long. But the idea is I do need you to at least log in. Okay? So after class, you need to log into the program. So Shekna, raise your hand there. Raise your right hand. Okay, and say, okay. He says, good job. Okay. So the idea is we really want you to use the program. Okay? Now, some of you have used it a lot, so that's wonderful. So guys, right after class, I'll send you an email. Please log in and do this activity immediately. Okay? Okay. Now, I'm going to stop the presentation just for a moment, and I'm going to switch to Burlington English, just to show everybody what Burlington English looks like. Now, you say, Mr. John, I already know what Burlington English looks like, but I would like to take just a moment, not too much time, just to show you what it looks like. Okay, so I hope you have a chance to look at it already. But again, in your email or phone, this is the login screen. So in your email, I will include the link on the computer, or if you want to use it on the phone, Again, you can download it. I've got the information to download it on your phone or on iPhone, iPad, Google, whatever. Now, for this presentation, just very quickly, we have created an account just to demonstrate Burlington English. Okay, so this is not a real person, but for example, most of you, your account starts with the word Kenton. Kenton dot. Okay, now that's, I think, almost everybody. It starts with Kenton, and that's because we are Kenton County. Now, for this presentation, we created an account Kenton. Okay, but for you, it's probably Kenton dot, Shigeru, Kenton dot Singly, Kenton dot Shekna. It's probably your first name. Again, sometimes we have 2 people or 3 people. Okay. And then the password, everyone's password is the same, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So when you log in, the first thing I just want to remind everybody is, since we are not in the classroom, we are using the program away from school. So when you use it on the computer, on the phone, iPad, Chromebook, we click on away from school to use the program. Okay, so we'll click on that just to demonstrate. Now this here, what you see in front of you on the screen, this is what we call the dashboard. You know, when you're driving your car and you see the speed, right? You see the mileage, the gas, maybe over on the right side, you've got the radio. That's your dashboard, when you're driving. So this is your dashboard for Burlington English. And there are lots of things we're going to do with it. But the most important is here, where it says courses. So courses, that's going to be the most important part that we use with the Burlington English platform. Okay, so that's something we need to think about when we're using this platform. So again, the courses part, that's what we're going to be using. Now the good news, okay, so the good news is I can send you the direct link to the activities that we're going to do. So what you need to do is, when you get home, or when you're already home probably, when you're finished here with class and you log in, after you log in, you can click on the link in my email and it will take you directly. So even if you're using your phone, or iPad, it will take you directly to the activity. So that's good. I think last year we were a little confused. If I would give an activity, students would be like, oh, I didn't see the activity. So the good news is I can give you a direct link to the activity. Okay, so let's continue. Oops, sorry guys. All right, let's close that up. Okay, so in the courses feature, just a quick show here, we have lots of different levels. So for example, we have the basics level, low beginners, high beginners, low intermediate, high intermediate, and advanced. Now here in this class, we're going to use some of the low intermediate level, but we're also going to start moving into the high intermediate level of Burlington English. Now you might say, Mr. John, this is low intermediate class, right? Well, the Burlington levels are kind of at the same levels as our class, not exactly. So we're going to do some activities from the low intermediate. Now, you might be in the beginning classes, your teacher might be using different programs, like the High Beginners program. We also have some wonderful programs called English in America. So once in a while, we will do some activities from these as well. And then finally, we do have some programs called Career Exploration. Now, career exploration means helping us find a job. So some of you might be looking for a job, might be needing some help with finding a job. This will help you practice some vocabulary, some activities. Now, everybody can see all of these programs. So you are welcome to do as many of these programs as you like. But we in the class, we're going to do activities mostly from the low intermediate and the high intermediate levels. Okay, and then we'll do some activities from other courses as well. Now, what I'm going to be sending you in your email after class is the link to the activities I want you to do for next week. So most of the activities are here in the student lessons section. Okay, so here in the low intermediate student lessons section, we have these different topics. So personal information, education, getting a job, and so on. And then here, we are going to be starting in lesson 9, which is called In the Community. Now remember, I can help you by sending you the direct link to these activities. So what you're going to do in this first set of activities is I'm going to send you this link here at the top that will take you directly to lesson 9 in the community. Now, before we finish here this morning, what I would like for you to do is to try activities 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, that's not a lot. It should take you maybe 15 or 20 minutes to do these 5 activities. And in fact, activity 1 is just kind of the introduction. So we're going to look at it right now, right? So that'll help us a little bit. So the idea here is you can look at the information here where it says get ready, and we're going to just kind of introduce what this lesson will be about. So let me read here just on the screen. It says, in this lesson, you're going to listen to announcements about community services and events. Now, of course, in the COVID situation, it's a little difficult, right? But again, when things are hopefully back to normal, you can do more things in the community. So, for example, it says the final activity is where you're going to, participate in a conversation at a public library. So the idea is for each of these activities. So, for example, here in Get Ready, where it says Activity 2, we have 2 pictures that we see here on the screen. And the idea is you're going to match what you see here. So, for example, letters A, B, C, and D, you will match to the information we see on the screen. Now, again, if you're using it on the computer, it's a little easier to see. Now, the nice thing about the phone, though, don't forget, is that you can use your fingers to pinch and zoom to make things bigger and to make things smaller. So that's good. You can use your fingers to do that. And then when you're ready for the next activities, then you go to 3 and 4. And what you do is you match the letter. You type the letter A, B, C, and D into activity number 2. Now, for activities 3, 4, and 5, this is the chance to start practicing with your pronunciation. I know many of you have used the program before. In fact, someone did send me an email that maybe the computer doesn't understand me. Well, I'm going to demonstrate that sometimes the computer doesn't understand me either. So we have to, make sure we use that microphone. But again, if you're new to this program, basically you can listen to the word, right? And then you can try to pronounce it yourself. Now, let me see. I don't think I have it set up right now. Let's see if I can do it now. I don't know if you can hear it at the moment. Let me see. Okay, let's see if this will work. So, for example, if you can hear this word.
Adopt.
All right, so I don't know if you heard the word, but the word was adopt. Okay.
Adopt.
Maybe you can hear it. And then the idea is you have to say it. So that's what this little microphone here is for. So if I click on the microphone and I say the word, hopefully the computer will understand me. Okay, guys, so here's my test. All right, so let's try it here. Okay, let me stretch a little bit. All right, here we go. So I'm going to say the word. Let's see if it understands me. Adopt. Well, about 50%. So I think you'll see that it definitely is something we have to practice with. And sometimes maybe you're not speaking loudly enough. If you speak louder, then sometimes the computer will understand you better. And again, my experience is that with the phone, get it right to your mouth there, Don. Or if you're using headphones, some of you might use headphones. But that's the idea. So I'd like for you to practice those vocabulary words. And then for activities 4, you just have to choose which one is the correct answer. Okay, very simple. And then in activity 5, you'll just take the words, and the way it works on the computer, you can use your finger on the phone, is that you just move the word into the blank, and then you can check your answers. Okay? Now, I'm going to be available by computer. So after class, if you have any trouble with the program for these 5 activities, and again, they're very short, so I think you'll finish them in a few minutes. But if you have any questions, you can always send me an email, and I can certainly try to help you. But the idea is I would like for you to try these 5 activities. Just go through 1 all the way to 5 right when class is finished. Okay, so immediately after class, I'm going to send you the link. I'm going to send you your Burlington information. And I would like for you to log in. Okay, so maybe you've logged in already, but I'd like you to log in and try these 5 activities just to get us familiar And again, next week we will start the lesson and talk a little bit about what we're going to learn in this particular session. Okay. All right, so I'm going to switch now. So guys, we're just about here at the end of our day. So first off, I want to thank everyone for joining us. So this was just our first day, and don't worry, we're going to have lots of chances to talk, lots of chances to participate. But for now, let's go ahead and talk about our first assignment. So again, immediately after class, you're going to receive an email with your Burlington username and password. And I want you to log in today and do that activity. If you can do it right after class, that would be the fastest. Just finish it and you're done. You see, not so bad. So don't wait too long. And I am going to be looking, okay, so I'm looking with my eyes here to see who has logged in. So please, please, please log in, at least, at the minimum, log in after class so I can see if you were successful. And if you